thanks everybody for joining, much appreciated. My name's Joel Markham, so I'm the CEO and founder of Architect Services. Today's webinar is on the Project Accelerator. So we're going to cover the basics of Project for the Web, just to make sure we're all on the Power Platform, just make sure we're all on the same page in terms of what Project for the Web is. We're going to do a quick demonstration of that because it's relatively kind of condensed product, and then we'll talk about Project Accelerator. What the Project Accelerator is, and then we'll do a little bit of a kind of show and tell really of how to install it, and go from there really. So I'm just going to go on to the next slide. I've just summarized all that, but yeah, thanks for joining. If you can put yourselves on mute, that would be much appreciated. But any questions that come throughout the session, please do just take yourself off mute, or use the raise your hand feature on Teams, and I'll stop and come to you. Alternatively, if you want to put something in the chat window, more than happy to answer any questions that come up throughout the session. Great stuff. So just a bit about myself and our history. So my name is Joel Markham, as I said, CEO and founder of Architect Services. Bit of a quick view of my background. So PMO, project management in Lloyds Banking Group, and then I was 5 years in Babcock International Group, where I ended up being the head of projects and governance, and then stepped out into Companies House, where I was the head of P3, which is when Architect formally started. So yeah, I guess all my work in industry life has been around projects and governance and change. Architect today is quite amazing actually to think where we are. Actually 2 years ago today was the first time we got paid an invoice for an hour of my time, and today we're 15 people strong, and growing, and yeah, really kind of excited to be delivering Microsoft Cloud technologies across some really great organizations such as Bays, ONS, ACAS, and IPO. We've got a number of other customers as well, so we definitely need to update that slide at some point in the near future. Just a bit of an overview about how we operate. So we like delivering value at pace, and really is about kind of sharing our knowledge, networking with individuals, and we've set ourselves a KPI to do one webinar a week this year, which is challenging, but we love to sharing kind of the technology that's available within the Microsoft technology stack, and showing everybody and sharing, I guess, the technology that's available for you to utilize. Architect is broken down into four offerings. So solutions, products, consulting, and services. Solutions is where we really build specific custom business applications to meet a business objective or solve a problem. Products is where you can buy a SaaS product, so a kind of per user per month basis. And then consulting is where you get experts in transformation to help just try and visualize roadmaps and solve specific problems. And then we've got a lot of our customers where we're building kind of major key products and solutions where they need us on hand to support them if anything goes wrong, basically, and continually support and iterate on those products and services. So that's the services offering. We're a Microsoft 365 cloud specialist. I need to put cloud up there. We don't do anything hardware, nothing physical, all 365 cloud applications, but we specialize and have got our goal competencies in Project Online and Power Apps. But we also specialize in Power BI and Dynamics 365 as well. So that's just a whistle-stop tour of me. I'm sorry for those people who've come back to a webinar who've been on one before. You've heard me say that 3 or 4 times now. But yeah, thanks for attending. It's much appreciated. So the project for the web element and Project Accelerator is based on a Power Platform. So I just wanted to just quickly summarize this. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but it's really using the Power Apps technology stack. It has a bit of Power BI in Project Accelerator, but it's really up to you whether how much you use that or not. And so, sorry guys, could you just put yourself? Thank you. Power Automate is also used in the service as well, yeah, so it's just understanding how the Power Platform is used to give you the Project Accelerator. All right, and the Power Platform is based on Dynamics, it's based on Azure, it's all available within 365, and it uses a series of model-driven applications to allow us to interact with projects, risks, issues, actions, all those type of things. Project Accelerator itself doesn't use Power Automate. It doesn't have any integration out of the box, but the idea is it's a platform for you to download and consume very easily that allows you then to go and develop on it at a later stage. So its basic is in premise is to keep it contained within Project Accelerator, within the Power Platform, within the Power App, but of course, you have Power Automate, which you can use then to connect to other services such as Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or SharePoint, or any other kind of on-premise application that you may use. The Project Accelerator is actually using a model-driven app. So it's not available in Canvas, it's not available as a portal. It's using the systematic form factor which comes within a model-driven application, and it's pre-configured to meet your requirements. All right, but it's taking that model-driven app over the top of a project for the web instance and allowing you to consume something that's already pre-built by Microsoft. Hence why it's called an accelerator. It's trying to accelerate the usage of a tool, and Microsoft have pre-developed this tool and made it publicly available for us all. So as I mentioned before, it's utilizing Project for the Web. So Project for the Web is one of the services that's available in Microsoft 365 for the management and execution of projects. You may have seen this slide before if you've been to a few of our sessions, but effectively this is just a range of project tools that are available within Microsoft 365. Project for the Web's on the right here. It is really good for third-party integration and for light project plans and really custom configurations. When you want to do custom workflow or custom fields or custom attributes, custom entities, it's really good for that. Project Online is the SharePoint architected solution, and there is almost a limitation of how you use Project Online or how it's configured. You have to use it how it's intended to be used. But as a Project for the Web is much more of a platform that allows us to build solutions, project solutions to the business requirement rather than changing your business processes to adopt and utilize the capability of Project Online. Swings and roundabouts for both, but hopefully that makes sense. They are all based on the same platform, and really it's about utilizing the services in Project Online, through a front-end simplified Project for the Web service. Project for the Web will kind of mature over time as more features and functions are released, but it's really in a kind of a simple state at the moment. How I use it is if plan is too simple for you, and you kind of want to be able to assign resources to tasks and assign dependencies and links between tasks, then really planners, too little or too low in that capability. If you're managing schedules, kind of 50 lines long, I think that planner gets a bit overwhelming. And if you're actually project managing activities, then planner really kind of gets a bit hard for me personally, as opposed to BAU activity, which I think is brilliant for. So that's where Project for the Web is coming in there. Project for the Web is trying to sit between planner and Project Online. In the longer term future, kind of 4-5 years away, Project Online will be depleted. It will be end of life, but Project for the Web will take over the capability of Project Online over the next few years, and there will be a migration path, a technical migration path from Project Online to Project for the Web in the near future. But all this service in terms of Project for the Web roadmap, they're all based on the Power Platform, and they're all based on the Common Data Service, which is now called the Dataverse. And that means it's just very, very customizable to every requirement that we've had, and we have a myriad of different requirements from across our network of customers and partners. We really do say, look, we can make Project for the Web and the Power Platform pretty much do whatever you want. We've yet to come up against a real technical challenge that's not technically possible. Sometimes those challenges are not viable. They're not financially viable. If it's a challenge to solve a problem of integration, for example, it might take us X amount of days, which is not cost effective for the customer. But there's no There's nothing we've come up against yet that somebody's asked us to do that we've said the technology cannot do it. And really, I think that's where Microsoft is going. It's saying, give you the Power Apps platform, give you the tools like Project for the Web, give you Power BI. Now business users or integration partners can go and build those services to meet those requirements. No longer you buying an off-the-shelf product. There's recognition across industry that no single organization will deliver or wants to deliver projects in the same way. And Accelerator is really just trying to give you a platform to use it for a few months, go and deliver some projects using the tool, but capture your backlog of changes that then you can come to a partner like us to help you implement, with the vision that in the very long term future it'll be pretty super simple to build tables, entities, and etc. But for now it's a case of just giving you a service that's readily available, an idea of what the tool can do for you. So with this service, you do have AI builders included. You do have the data connectors. You have it all there. It's just kind of pre-configured to meet your requirement. It doesn't connect to Project Online out of the box. So you can't use Microsoft Project kind of desktop files to schedule those things. But again, if you needed that kind of connection, that hybrid environment, then Architect would be more than happy to help you. It doesn't have roadmap there included in the app, but it's easily, you turn it on in the same time you turn on Project for the Web. And so you can consume all these different technologies very easily, but it just needs a bit of setup and configuration. All right. So in the detail then, if you've joined any of these sessions before, but also just if you understand systems and databases, I guess, in a simplest form, Project Accelerator gives you more than just Project for the Web and its components. So Project Accelerator is saying, look, and that is actually doing that in a license model as well. It's saying that for the Plan 1 license for Project Accelerator, you get these entities included in the system. So it's got some logic in there already. So all the way from the top there, project request, it's got a little kind of calculator for new project requests to come in to the system and be evaluated. All right, so you can do a simple kind of return on investment, cost, kind of simple selection, strategic alignment in there as well. You can also do programs. So the ideation of categorizing projects into a program is also included in the system out of the box, which is kind of cool. But there's some improvements there if you're a fully mature PMO function. Then you've got the projects and tasks, which is standard Project for the Web features, hence why they got the project icon there. And then at the bottom of the diagram, it's giving you, some additional value then. So it's giving the ability to capture risks and manage risks and issues. And then change requests, like RFCs where you're changing baseline or spend, etc. And then status reports, which is actually quite cool, and I like that one. Having a ability to create a status report as a record, rather than just a report, gives us a lot more flexibility in the future. Governance, so this is about taking kind of projects through stages in a predefined way. And then KPIs, which is our set of measures across project management for key performance indicators. If I'm honest, I'm not quite sure kind of why that's a table in itself, but because they change so frequently. But it's cool nonetheless to have a predefined solution readily available. So just for context as well, I say it's readily available. It is available. It's on GitHub. We'll show you that later on. But it does need some setup and configurations. It's not it's not just download or log online for a free trial. It just needs a bit of effort to get it into the environment for you and get it working. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna step out now and go into Project for the Web. I just want to do a quick show and tell on Project for the Web and its capabilities before we move into the Project Accelerator itself. So here you've got the ability to create a new project. or even create a new roadmap. So this is where you would actually kind of create your roadmap feature in this service. Interestingly, I've not seen this before until I've just clicked on that drop down. That's how quickly Microsoft are releasing this stuff. But that's pretty cool to see that's now live. And if that's live, that means the next release is live, which means there's other features that we were unable to talk about before, but I've kind of probably implied that have come into the live environment as well. So that's pretty cool that you can now take a project desktop file and import it into a project for the web. We'll have to do some testing on that and make sure it works properly and there's no bugs and issues on that. But that's pretty cool to see. So that's how quickly and iteratively Microsoft are releasing new features into this service month on month, which is, I guess, one of the benefits of an evergreen technology platform like Project for the Web. So here's your list of projects, and you're able to kind of go in here and create, kind of projects that you want to go and track. You'll see it's very much kind of based on the planner board look and feel, and you can create these buckets here. And like Planner, you can move the tasks or the cards across your Kanban board. So this is operations, and then in here you can create your tasks from this here, test task operations, which is quite cool. And again, if you're used to working in this way, it's pretty good and intuitive and flexible. But for me, being a project practitioner at heart, I kind of can't help but work in a list form and want to take tasks and make them dependent and have predecessors and work and effort and duration, all that kind of stuff. So this is great to visualize stuff, but when I want to kind of see my plan, I have to go back to this grid view, aka list view, to see these tasks in full kind of situ, I guess. And then these are the tasks that come out of the box, so the fields that come out of the box. Now called columns, which is a bit annoying, but you've got the percentage completes here. You've got the buckets that I was referring to earlier, so you can see the operations bucket that I created earlier on. And then you've got your start and your finish date as well. So based on your start dates, this is obviously American date format, just because this is a demo environment at the moment. But and then your effort as well, effort remaining, effort completed, all that kind of good stuff, which is pretty good. So it's as simple as creating a new task here, test task finance, and then you're able to go and assign these tasks to individuals, 5 days, so on and so forth. We're going to put it into the operationals bucket, which is going to drive me a bit insane later on, but cool. And then you can see that in this board that test task finance has appeared as well. One of the things that to note as well is that this is based on Office 365 groups. So every time you create a new project, you can create a new group, and you're able to control permissions into that group using the 365 groups technology set as well. And that enables you to do other things like email everybody or create a Microsoft Teams account for this project and integrate it with Teams in the future. And then this is the timeline view, the Gantt chart view. So we're able to zoom in and zoom out, and you are actually able to move some of these tasks across if you like your visual management. Does that happen there, or does that happen event booked afterwards? Maybe it's going to take less time, and you can bring up these cards. You can even add dependencies and attachments as well. So you can't book the event until we've designed the event, and you can see that link is created there. You could change the bucket from here as well and add attachments and a link to URLs and Teams files, which is really kind of exciting to see the level of capability that's been added into the system since even 12 months ago, when Project was pretty standard and simple in the Project for the Web version. Notes as well, you can add some commentary in there, so description fields, those type of things as well. I haven't actually seen that button before. Okay, cool. So this button here is being able to collapse or expand the pane into the browser. So that's Project for the Web, and you'll see now when I go on to Project Accelerator how that enables that is used. Just as I said at the start of the meeting, if there's any questions, feel free to put a question into the chat window or come off mute. I'm happy to answer any questions that are there. Great question. No, they don't. But I believe in order to access Project Accelerator, they do. So you could kind of say give all the tasks. Thanks, Emma, for that question, by the way. Could give all the tasks to Tom or to Frank, and almost kind of list them out. But yeah, if you want to go and access the project as a team member, you need a Plan 1 license. Hopefully that'll change. Fingers crossed. I believe the question is, can you import it from a Microsoft project file, as in desktop file? And yes, you can now. I have to admit, I haven't tested it, but that looks like you could choose an MPP file, which is I use the word cool too often these things, but yeah, that's pretty cool that you could do that and upload it. Have a go. Project.microsoft.com. Try and upload a file into that. If your question was about Project Online integration, then yes, that is available, but it's configuration from Microtech. We've got a little solution that connects the two together to work in a hybrid environment, which is I might have alluded to earlier on. Thank you for the questions. If there's any others, please do feel free to drop them into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, so that's project for the web. Project Accelerator then. So this is Project Accelerator. What this is a solution that's predefined by Microsoft. It's available on GitHub, and you can download the package and you can import it into your Microsoft Project Power Apps environment. You need to be a system administrator to do that, and I'll take you through some simple steps of how to do it later on. Although it does need a bit of time, a bit of kind of working through. You'll notice that this is very similar to some of the other products if you've been on these calls before, that we've built, and it's very similar to it is a model driven app. But what Microsoft have done is said, right, this is just to inspire some thinking, some creativity, some usage of the tool. Well, this is how we foresee this working, and we've given you some other things in here as well as part of the setup. So yeah, they've got a dashboard here. These are some charts, active project requests, kind of by cost and priority, by business unit, and then the budget by business unit, programs by business unit, and then program health as well. So this is all the charts that you can configure and edit afterwards, really. That's kind of what I would say is the output of the system. The idea is here that you've got a project request, which I put one in earlier. I always love the washing up liquid idea. Let's go and put some washing up liquid across the office, and well, that wouldn't be applicable anymore because we're in COVID. But hey, but here you can add a new idea to the system, and you can see that it's had some logic, some thinking put in there. So project test, and it's in news. It's allowing the user to add some criteria to this. It's an application project. Let's go with an app project. It's a high priority. It's requested by me, and I'm going to put Megan as a sponsor. Yeah, and then so it's just a predefined set of fields that is just available out of the box. Well, as with kind of project for the web, if you started from scratch, you'd have to kind of define these fields and come up with this logic yourself. Project app business case. I'm not going to spend ages doing this because I think you get the gist of these type of forms. So rating. So this is a simple prioritization model. It's just saying, is it aligning to our strategic direction or strategic plans? What's the cost of this? So it's a low cost, it's an extreme strategic alignment, and we're going to keep all our employees, and there's no risk at all. So this is a super duper fantastic project idea. This is budget is £10,000, and the benefit is £50,000 over 5 years or whatever it is. But as a project practitioner, I instantly can spot like not holes, but it's too simple in some cases if you're delivering major programs of change and projects, because I'd want to know, is it 50 grand a year? Is it 50 grand a month? You know, it's just talking in totals, budget, what's capex versus opex, and you know what's kind of a risk or not a risk. So it is just a simple tool to start you off and using your project, using as a project system. It gives you a prioritization score, which is all well and good, and allows then the kind of user to come in here and to, you know, review these at a later date. There's no logic in it at the moment in terms of workflow automation. It's just, you know, a simple, you'd come in here and select it's in review. Thank you very much. You know, I'm going to review it later on, and go from there. So, and it's using filters on views to tell the user what to do. So if you're responsible for the funnel of projects coming into your organization, then actually, you know, you'd come in here and say, give me all the projects that are in review. You know, give me all the projects that have been approved. You know, so it's just simply going through a series of filters on a view. Nothing more complex than that at the moment. The idea is you could have some workflow automation in here to say, you know, send an email to Megan, the sponsor, or send an email to the PMO, the head of PMO, maybe to review this and approve it or decline it, or a group of people. That's the idea, really. And there's no kind of, the next thing for me is there's no swap over. I can't get this into a project. So when I approve it, I can't move it into the project portfolio per se. But that's, you know, the type of solutions that we could develop using Power Automate, migrate it from one record to another using this technology. But it is really, really a simple kind of project program management tool. So here are some programs. So next level down, we've got the carbon efficiency program, which I put in there this morning, and it's got the nice features where you don't have to go into the record to change the values. I like that. I don't like having to go into a record to change the values. If it's just I'm moving it from proposed to active, yeah, that's quite a nice feature, that is. But then if I want to go into the project, you can double click on it. He says, there we go, and you can go into the program record itself. You can see I've put some narrative in here this afternoon. Program start, program end date or due date, and you can start, you know, kind of categorizing this program against certain types of programs or certain goals and those type of things. Priority, again, simple, high, medium, low, and the business unit it sits into. So it's quite nice to kind of get all this out of the box, you know, just installing a zip file, pre-configured system. You know, if you're delivering simple projects in an environment organization at the moment, or you just want to have a tool to play around with to see what the potential is of the future, it's a really good way of doing that. So status, so we're having the KPIs here, we're on track, we're at risk, where, you know, the financial health of the project is off track, program at this stage, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's simple. And then the projects then that relate to this program. So we've got set up 2 demo projects in here that are related to this program. And the next thing, which is another thing I like, but you can see there's a couple of little error there for that should be, you know, so it needs a bit of setup when you deploy it. That this is just simply from the Microsoft website straight into Power Platform, and that just needs to be changed. So you can add notes and kind of, you know, attach files and stuff to show the timeline. So I could do it now. So test note, and you can add some narrative. Project on track, you know, meeting with SRO next week. Cool. You can add pictures and do all types of things. So yeah, you can have like hover over helps. See that little kind of financial health box. I can't in black. I can't point to it because it'll move away. But that is what we call a hover over, and you can add some narrative into that one as to some descriptions, etc. As to the field description. Put the financial health of the project, and some criteria around that as well. And you can also put files or links to files. So, a button on here to say, go off to the manual, for example, and consume the manual. But if there is real kind of narrative that's required at each stage, then we would probably squash this form and on the right hand side have some real kind of narrative against each of these boxes. There's a few options there as well. At one of the other customers, we've got like a help page down here that's got a series of videos and kind of screen shares and that kind of thing. So there's a few ways to solve that or meet that requirement. But you can add links, you can add text boxes, and you can add descriptions or hover over descriptions as well. So there's a lot of functionality or customization in that. Yeah, if you wanted documents, you could have a tab called Documents here, and it would show the SharePoint document library here as well. We've got this is quite simplistic, as I probably keep mentioning too often, so apologies for that. But if you were in a project record, you could have a project going through a life cycle. So we call it a business process flow or a project life cycle. So for example, like discovery, alpha, beta, closure, and the based on what stage it's at, we can dump template files into that document library. It's based on SharePoint using Power Automate. So when you go into alpha, it then adds all your alpha deliverables or products in Prince 2 terms per se into that document library for the user to go and complete then. And you can get pretty clever with it and say you can't go to the next stage until you've completed all your documents, or until all your documents are of an issued version, i.e. 1.0 or 2.0, or have been approved by the SRO. So you can go crazy with it. But yeah, you can see how kind of hopefully that could work. Resources, yes, I'll come on to that one in a second, because I just want to make sure I finish off the programs. I noticed I kind of came away from that quite quickly, so apologies for that. So projects, here are the projects, all the projects that are linked to the programs. Some of the other things you could do, I'm a bit weird and OCD. I don't like this ABC thing. I'd hide that. And if I'm in summary projects, for example, if I was configuring this, I wouldn't have that there. Don't really need it. But then the notes get added into here as well. So for notes, I love this feature in the Power Platform. We can combine notes from different entities and surface them in Power BI at a later date as well. So if you want to see all the notes on the program of X, you could visualize that into Power BI. That's why it's quite good to keep these meeting minutes effectively in notes going forward, rather than Word or OneNote or whatever it is, although you can actually add a OneNote into this with a bit of a setting change. So projects then, so a project can be related to a program, or although sometimes not. You can see we kind of ran out of time in terms of getting these descriptions completed, but effectively a project, an owner, which is a project manager. This is a cloud computing, well, it's not cloud computing because it's electric car, a company car scheme. So internal readiness we put down to today, and the stages. So this is a simple way of taking projects through stages. As I said, you can have a business process flow with the little red bullseyes on the top, which you may have seen if you've joined some of our previous webinars or other technologies. But it's simply moving a project through some stages. Is funding available? Yes. It's bringing some data here from the plan as well. Business case. So this is about saying, is this valuable or not? And another prioritization engine. The top prioritization engine was at a program level. This is at a project level, and it gives you a prioritization score as well. Financials, very simplistic. If I'm managing a project for £150,000, I'm not managing the budget forecast or actuals like this in these one pages, because it's just too high level, isn't it? But it's a simple way of doing it for now. Emma, so resources. No worries, thank you for joining. So resources in here. This is the I would say the limitation is a strong word, but it's simplistic for resources at the moment. It doesn't do kind of the activity tracking. You can do task tracking, but you can't do assignments. If you're used to using Microsoft Project Desktop or Project Online, where you've got tasks, and underneath the tasks you've got assignments. You're saying this task 25 to go and deliver this thing or build this thing or do complete this activity has 2 people on it. That person's 10% of the time. That person's 20% of the time. Project for the web isn't quite there yet, in my opinion. It's simple as one task is assigned to one person. It will change. It will change very quickly, but it's quite. I can't get my head around it yet as a project practitioner how I would assign it and how would I split the resource between one person and another person. It can you can add more than one person to the assignment, but in terms of the resource and effort, it gets a bit. That's where the project for the web limits you in doing that. So 40 hours effort, and it's just about playing with it really. We have some customers that really wanted resource allocations, but I don't think they didn't want it in task level. They wanted it at a project level, and it does work quite well for project level. So we're able to kind of build resources in here, and you can see it's because I've added Megan to that task. It's added it to the resource pool. I can see the amount of effort that she's been attributed or wants to go and consume from the project per se. But it depends on your specific requirement for resource management. It's not a deal breaker for me because there's workarounds which actually I think are better than Project Online or Microsoft Project and less overwhelming, especially if you've got projects that are 10 or 15 lines long. The plans are that kind of length of size and scale, or maybe 50 as a maximum. You can do simple resource management in here. If you're doing an ERP program, I wouldn't use Project for the Web to manage that. I just wouldn't. And he's trying to capture every hour of every resource to go and capitalize costs, those type of things. Project for the Web is not that yet, but it can be with some support and configuration. But that's where we'd integrate it with Project Online. Hope I'm not rambling. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm going to move on to risks. So here you can add your risks, a simple test of risk, and you can assign it to Megan. It's a simple state again. It's a risk around resources, and it's due in the end of the month. All right. So probability. I didn't test this earlier because I thought this would be quite simple. But for me, it doesn't tell me what do you want. Do you want a 1, a 5, a big, a small? So if I change that, I've showed. There we go. Shouting at me. Sorry, system. Put a 1 in there. So it's got some logic in there, which is great. But and probability, I guess if I do that again, just making sure. Yeah, cool. So it wants numbers, and it wants between 0 and 100 as well. So and I think it was 0 and 10 in here. If I do that, yeah, 0 and 10. But I'd want to know that in that description, which is one of the questions earlier on, which with a bit of setup and configuration we could add, no problem at all. And costs, what are we saying, £1,000 is a simple one, and save it, and then it's coming up with your exposure, then the cost exposure, your exposure score. It's a really pragmatic but simple risk management tool or collation of risks. Test risks. I'm just going to put risks in here. Risks. Okay, cool. So save and close. So effectively, you get your list of risks, and again, with a very simple tweak, we could surface the risks here, so you can see all risks across the portfolio of projects and programs, just by clicking this button and seeing all the risks. So, for example, instead of all the projects here, it'd be all risks. Same for tasks, same for issues. Changes, so that's the other cool one we like. So you can, instead of doing a request for change Word document, you could do it in here. You could basically say, actually, what's the change in benefits, what's the change in plan, any additional comments, and then we can build a flow which will send it off then for approval if you want to go and kind of audit or govern that change being made. Not really sure why you'd assign a change to someone, but hey, it's there if you need it. And all the different categories and lookups are there, as we discussed previously. So I'm just going to put, I can't say demo change. Here we go. So again, there's no logic to this. They should automatically set up in proposed, but it's a simple system for you to start using. Requested by. Is it requested by Megan? Here we go. Requested date today. It's just super simple, but cost impact. Ooh, what does this mean? Money off me. Here we go. Cool. So it's just a really simple tool to allow you to manage these change requests into the system and narrative. But the good thing is I like putting them as records in the system because we can do something with them in the future. For example, how many change requests have we've got across the portfolio at the moment that are due to scope? How many are due to schedule or cost or impact in these areas? Building that Power BI report is super simple. Now you've got them stored as records. I mean, we have a central government customer that has all their, I think it's kind of a different word, but it's similar concept, and they export them into Word. So the users will fill them out in here, or in a form like this. And when upon the request being approved, they press approve and the email goes out with a Word document that's pre-configured, got all this information in a Word template to an external partner. So yeah, it just gives you the baseline platform, really. All right. Additional comments. I should come up with a better example, shouldn't I? Sorry. Additional comments. Just you can see how it kind of works here. All right. So and then status. So this is the status of the project. So if you're used to doing highlight reports, status reports for projects, in PowerPoint or in Word, we're not doing that anymore. That's old school. In the modern world, we're creating them in a systematic way, saying the project is on track, or not, and we've got some problems that we need to go and address. All right, and then we're adding a status. So this week's status is status report. Week 20, whatever it might be. I'm the submitter, and it's the reporting date is tomorrow. I'm off on leave tomorrow, so I'm going to do it today. But it's all about users. So the project is going really well, thanks to the system. Plan activities to focus on key deliverables next week. Cool. No additional comments. So now tomorrow at 10 o'clock, when the flow runs, for example, to send out all the status reports to all the sponsors for all the projects, it's taking my narrative plus also the current status of the project, building that into Power BI and submitting that to all the portfolio sponsors across the business. And the great thing is about keeping it as a record is that we're able to report on that later on. Rather than going back through lots of PDF documents stored in SharePoint, which many of us use embarrassingly, we're going back through the status field, the status records, the status updates in a systematic way. So we can see the performance of the project over time. You could probably do some trend analysis there to work out, okay, so on go live, if go live date is X, what's the status of a project going up to it? You probably find that for the first 3 months of the project duration, it's all green and all great, but the last 3 months of the project are normally a bit more red, in my experience. So, working across portfolios. But this is the portfolio. This is the Word template feature I was talking about earlier. So you can upload templates into the system as well. So, for example, if you've got a defined project template that's filled out by someone else that you can't digitize, then you could, put into a system. As long as it's in a Word document, in a digital format, it's into a mailbox, you can upload that Word document into this system, and it'll take all those bookmarks of all those fields and paragraphs and put them into this record for you. So that's some of the tools you've got available. Obviously, it needs setup, hence why it's not set up as part of the accelerator, but it just needs some configuration. and then those type of features are available for you to consume. Cool. Again, if you wanted this task list, I probably skipped over it earlier, apologies, but you'll note from the demo of Project for the Web, this is the Project for the Web, plugin for this project. All those features that are available over here in the Project for the Web window are available here. All right. Moving these tasks across, demo, you can add tasks and they all go on to the plan. Test task. Finish date is tomorrow. I'm going to do it really quickly. It's going to be assigned to my administrator user. Cool. And then that test task appears here in the grid view. It's all available, and it's actually in a set of tasks in the tasks entity as well. So if you wanted to see all project tasks across all projects, then we could easily surface a link like this where you'd see all the tasks, who they're assigned to, so on and so forth. And all the features like the timeline feature are all available within this tool. Yeah. I don't really know myself why the Open Project button is there per se, because every single feature that's available in the Project for the Web plugin is available here. We actually repurpose this button to open in Project Online. For example, if you have a schedule that is in Project Online, we can do that as well. So resources, these are all the resources across the system. You can have different types of resources as well. So you can add you can add a pool of resources, not a physical swimming pool, which I thought my brain went to as soon as I saw that. Sorry. Equipment, users, contact, if you want to add a contact from your CRM system, and a generic resource as well, an account like a customer or an organization, for example, and it just allows you to utilize the resource engine of resource forecasting in the future. As I say, it's not really good at user or kind of project team resources yet, but what it's really good at with a bit of configuration and the project operations module included is kind of like equipment, assets, rooms, buildings, that kind of thing is what Dynamics is historically really good at doing. So all that technology we can plug into this if you want to, for example, meters of copper pipe or meters of cable, all that kind of stuff is on a large enterprise scale is really easy to plug into it. The project, the last thing I want to point out before we go back to the slide deck and I finish off and let you guys carry on with your busy days is the reports. So the reports aren't set up in this demo environment, but you could effectively see how you click on reports and Power BI, the standard content pack, is available in here. Unfortunately, we just didn't have time to set it up last night, which is apologies for that. But if you've seen some of our webinars before, you'll know the standard content pack that's available in Power BI for Project for the Web, and that is simply surfaced here in this page. Okay, so I think that's it really. So I've shown you kind of project requests, programs, the project entity itself. The tasks entity is there as well. Risks, issues, changes, KPIs you don't really see as a user. You more see the outcomes of that calculation in the background, and governance. It's not there in terms of enabled on the front end, but it's there for us to kind of take a project through some stages, which is pretty cool. And then status reports, which I really like the status reports feature as well. So that was a quick demo, but just to recap, it was actually released in 2021 in October, and it's available on GitHub. It does focus on enabling a small number of use cases over the top of Project for the Web capabilities. So it's not trying to be an all-singing, all-dancing tool. It's a simple project management tool that's pre-configured to meet your requirement, to allow you to go and use it and collate a set of other requirements. And I'm not trying to be tongue-in-cheek here, but you could search for it on GitHub. You can download the zip file. The best version to use is version 1.6.0.22. Definitely go and, if you can search for it, if you've got an understanding of how the model-driven app works and the Power Platform works, I encourage you to go and do that. You have to be a system administrator, or just email me. Just email me, and I'm more than happy to jump on a screen share with you for half an hour, just to show you how to do it. As long as you've obviously got the right permissions in the environment. I'm going to check that first, but I don't want to get anybody into trouble with these type of things. But if you go to make.powerapps.com, I can, screen share with me. I'm more than happy just to show you how to do it. I've got the file on my laptop as well, so if I need to send it to you beforehand, please let me know. But just because it's in the agenda, I'll just summarize it very quickly for those of you who are interested. But effectively, if you go to the Power Apps homepage, which is there, it confuses me. You have solutions and apps, so you have to just be a bit careful that you don't import from here. You actually go to solutions and you import the solution here. It's a zip file that's freely available on GitHub, and you simply go import, choose the file, get it from your download files, and then you can import it in here. Just next, make sure you include all data on all metadata in the system as well. It'll take about 10 minutes to install. It does take a bit of time, but once you've installed it, you'll end up with a kind of solution like this here. And then you just need to go to apps and add a new app, model app, classic designer, and then you can create the app based on the solution. Cheers, Emma. Thank you for your questions. So you could create a test app, and then you can simply say use existing solution to create the app. Yes, and when you say next, it tells you which solution you want to go and create it from. All right, I could do that quite quickly now, actually. And you've got a sitemap. That's the thing. See, it's not as easy as just. It kind of is and it kind of isn't. If you know what you're doing, if you have a go at doing it, I encourage you to go and do it. You can't really break anything per se, but yeah, if you get stuck, just drop me an email and let me know, and I can jump on a call for half an hour, get it into your environments for you. You definitely have to be a system admin, and I think you will get blocked at some point if you're not a project license holder, definitely in using the system. But if you've got a P1 license, then that'll be sufficient. But also you need to be a system administrator to go and utilize it. And you need to understand that after you've included it, you need to go and set up the sitemap as well, which does take a bit of time. And there are, as you can see from the demonstration itself, there are some components that are not perfect, that do need a bit of configuration, and I would, before getting it readily available to 5+ users as a live service, I would definitely just spend some time just building it out and making sure there's no kind of labels that are wrong, or anything like that, really. On a technical level, what this is doing is it's giving us those entities that we talked about earlier, so changes, issues, programs, project requests. It's giving us all these tables in the system here in the prepackaged solution, and it's giving us all these predefined choices and option sets as well. So if you want to change the option set, you can go to here, the business unit option set, and you can, in a live environment, kind of change these with a bit of help and support from us as well. I would suggest kind of trying not to change them too much. I'd add your own ones in as and when you can. But yes, thank you very much for that. Right, let's just go down to the next slide, which I'm pretty sure is questions. What was that? Similar to Power Platform, ALM, good to know about. Thanks for that. No problem. Cool. So just any other questions at this time? Thank you for the questions that come through so far. We've got a few minutes before the end. So are there any questions that anybody has? More than happy to jump off mute and ask, or drop it in the chat box if you have any. Nope. Okay, dokie. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been really enjoyable doing this one. I'm sorry if I've rambled on a bit too long there, but as I say, if you want to make use of this technology, just give us a call, drop me an email, joel.markham@architectservices.co.uk, and I can help you install it. If you've got any more generic questions, then follow us on any of those social channels. No worries at all. So I missed a presentation. Okay, recording the presentation. Great question. So the recording of the presentation will be distributed afterwards. If you go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe to us on YouTube, you'll be able to see all of our previous recordings as well, and all of our future ones. That come out every week as a result of these sessions. So, and also next week is Power BI. So if you're interested in Power BI workshop, you can find us on the website or go to our LinkedIn page, and you can sign up to that webinar there and learn more about Power BI from Matt Richards, our senior BI developer. So I'll draw it to a close there. Thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much for the questions that have come in. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your days. And thanks very much for your time. And we'll catch up on the next one. Cheers now.